Hey, I'm David, and this is World Warriors of Capcom Cup Player Showcase.
And I'm James, and this Player Showcase video is one of many of a series of videos where we go over all 32 qualifiers of the Capcom Cup. And that'll be taking place at the Sony PlayStation Experience on the weekend of December 5th through 6th in San Francisco. Now, this is the culmination of a year-long Capcom Pro Tour. If you are not familiar with Capcom Pro Tour or Capcom Cup or want to know more about the storylines coming into this, definitely check out the introduction video that we made on this channel, which is on youtube.com/Capcom Fighters TV. Look for that intro video to learn all about Capcom Pro Tour, but as we said, this is the series of videos where we talk about the players.
And today, the player we're going to talk about is Itabashi Zangief, Itazan.
Yep, that's right.
One of the best Zangief players in the world and has been throughout Street Fighter IV. He picked up the character relatively early and was a player to watch in Japan throughout sort of the Street Fighter IV era. And he has been traveling pretty well.
Yes.
And we've been able to get a chance to see him more in Ultra and the end of AE 2012 than we did before.
Yeah, I mean, that's the coolest thing about Capcom Cup is that we have been able, Capcom Pro Tour, I should say, is that we've been able to see a lot more players. A lot of them have gotten a lot more sponsorships and traveling a lot more. And so a lot of people have now gotten to see a lot of Itabashi Zangief. Now, a lot of people knew about him before.
Of course.
In fact, before the rise of Snake Eyes, it was pretty much Itazan who was the Zangief to watch in Street Fighter IV. I feel like, you know, him or Hagajin, right?
I would have said I would say Kantoda at the same.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay.
Anyways,
but he doesn't play as much anymore, right?
I don't. As far as I know, not.
Yeah, but I mean, right now, clearly the three best Zangiefs are Hagajin, Itabashi, and Snake Eyes. Those are the three that people talk about the most.
Agreed.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I think with good reason. They all have slightly different styles, which is great. Because you can sort of see the character played in a few different ways. With Itazan, he has excellent fundamentals. I mean, he comes from a domination of a separate game genre, and in Street Fighter IV, his main training partner is Fudo, one of the most sound players in the world.
Right.
Patient, great spacing, great fundamentals, good reactions. And to play against that and be used to that as your standard, to overcome that is, you know, just that player is so tough. So you know that he has to have built just an excellent game plan for himself.
Yeah, so I mean, he's played a lot of different fighting games. One of the other fighting games, he was considered a god.
Yes.
And that game, there's just tons of fundamentals needed for that game. So yeah, him and Fudo have known each other for a long time, both playing other fighting games. But yeah, his fundamentals obviously very, very strong. However, having said that, he's kind of has this reputation a little bit for kind of, you know, going for it, kind of doing some crazy things. And it's kind of interesting because you're right, he plays super solidly, but then he just like will throw this Hail Mary and then it works.
Right.
And because he does that every so often, he just has this reputation. And so, like, I think people know him as this kind of crazy guy. I mean, even I kind of feel that way sometimes. But, you know, when you watch him play, it really is a lot more about being fundamentals. But having said that, he has one of the highest success rates of Hail Marys that I think I've seen.
Well, part of why that works so well is because he spends such a good amount of time playing this very solid game, great buttons, great spacing, good jump-in timings, all those things. And then so when he does something like with Green Hand Ultra, you're just not expecting it.
Right.
Because here's a player that, you know, you think will only do the safe stuff.
The fundamentals. Sound stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the sound things, the long-term strategy things. But because he mixes in those things you don't expect, he has more success than he would otherwise. So I really like that he is willing to do that. I think it fits with the character really well, and I think it fits his style really well.
Yeah, and he's had a lot of success with it. So just throughout the years, he's been a very successful player using Zangief.
That's right. Talk a little bit about his tournament results in Ultra Street Fighter 4. So at EVO 2014, he got 9th. He was just outside. At Tiger Uppercut 2014, 2nd. TGS last year, 5th place, Tokyo Game Show. Then DreamHack Winter, 3rd place. 9 States, 9th. Final round 18, 17th place. Double elimination CPT Asia qualifier, 7th place. KVO XTSB, 17th place. Southeast Asia Majors, 9th. EVOs, 49th. FV Cup 2015, 2nd place. Taiwan Fighter Major CPT qualifier, 3rd place. Manila Cup, 5th. Saigon Cup, 9th. Tokyo Game Show this year, 17th. KO Fighting Game Festival, 4th. Z Fighting Game Champion, 7th. He won True Challengers Costa Rica. And at Canada Cup 2015, he got 5th place.
That's right.
So there are a lot of top 8s in there. Lots of good stuff in there. That said, I think only the one win. Only that one first place. And it's come recently.
Yep. But like you said, he's only really kind of started traveling a lot more recently. And, the more he travels, the more deadly he's going to become.
Right.
Because that's the thing is you start playing all these different styles. It's really interesting how, depending on what country it is, it's like it can be drastically different in styles and such like that. So, yeah, I mean, very scary player.
Oh, look, he's 5th in points overall among non-automatic qualified players. That shows that he has put in the work, that he's done well at lots of different tournaments and lots of different matchups. So.
Yeah, and so we are going to watch the video where he does take first place at the Costa Rica tournament.
Right.
Previously. Now, before we get into the video, 2 things, right? One, we apologize a little bit. The quality of the video is not going to be very good. It's going to be a little bit compressed and such like that.
That's all we could find.
Yeah. But secondly, though, he's in grand finals against 801 Strider, Gustavo, right? Also a very strong player. And Gustavo comes in from the loser side, and he actually wins the first set 3-1.
Right.
And then where we pick up is basically going to be in the second set of grand finals. So
that's right.
And, it's kind of interesting. I mean, before we start the match, we can describe the matchup a little bit, Zangief versus Abel. It's just one of those matches where, like, at the beginning of Street Fighter 4, it was like, oh, Zangief destroys Abel. There's just really nothing Abel can do.
It was not a matchup that I took seriously. I used to play Zangief, and I didn't take Abel seriously for the first half year at least.
Right.
And then one day, Combo Fiend put in all the work he needed to do, and he made Abel work. And ever since then, I've thought, oh, okay, this makes sense. And at this point, I really feel it's an even matchup.
Yeah.
I really feel it's an even matchup. They both have good mid-range buttons. They both have good pressure. And their mix-ups work on each other.
Right.
So Abel has a command grab that is throw invincible once it's started. And Zangief doesn't have anything that's not throw invincible.
Right.
So if he does a wake-up command grab, right? Wake-up lariat, right? But if he does a wake-up command grab, there are a couple frames at the start where you're not throwable, right? But if your opponent has an unthrowable special like the tornado throw, then as Geef you just have to jump out of it, and that's not a good mix-up. So,
but like I said, what I really wanted to paint was that this is a very not an advantaged matchup for either one of them.
Yeah. And
Gustavo now just tied it up at 3-1. He's reset the bracket. Right. We're starting again. So as Itazan, one of the things that we talk about a lot is the mental fortitude of a player, right? So again, you just got reset 3-1, not even 3-2. So how do you come into this one? How do you react? And so we're just going to go right into this.
Alrighty.
And you see, they don't even take a break in between the two sets. Like let's go right back into it. There it is.
So of course, on the bottom right there, that's Itazan on the right in the blue.
Mm-hmm. And you can see it right there. So there's that meaty tornado throw that can cause Zangief a lot of problems.
Right.
And Itazan, so you can see, one of the things I will say about Itazan is he's a lot more active, I feel like, than a lot of than for example, like Snake Eyes or Hagajin.
Yeah.
I feel like he jumps a little bit more, and he just, I don't know, there's something more kinetic about the way
he is. He walks back and forth a little bit more. He does jump a little bit more. You're right.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, too, because obviously that's a very powerful tool for Zangief. So a lot of Zangiefs like to, quote, save the jump for those key moments.
Yeah.
And I feel like Itazan plays it more like I'm just going to keep jumping because then it's hard for the opponent to keep track of it. Because you'll see Gustavo counter a lot with Abel's low forward, but then every once in a while you'll see him get in and it pays off. So.
Right, exactly.
But again, here we go.
So, yeah, you can see some of the pressure that Abel has against Zangief. It's legit.
So as we said, Strider wins 3-1, takes this first round here.
Right, yeah. So how does Itazan recover? Right.
Things are looking bleak for
exactly.
Itazan. You know, a lot of lesser players could just be like, man, what is going on? You know, I can't figure this out. But, you know.
He's really good at finding those jumping locations. It's not just that he walks backward and forward. It's that he's, obviously, as everybody's trying to do this, but he's good at it, is walking into exactly the right spot.
Right. But you also see how often he's hitting low jab? He's just like walking backward, low jab, low jab, low jab, low jab. He is definitely, like I said, a more active kind of Zangief player.
Another thing I want to highlight about him is that I believe he's better at the tech part of the game than the other Giefs.
Yes.
I think he maximizes the combos that he has. He has character-specific combos that the other Giefs don't do. He has option selects that the other Giefs don't do. I really feel he does well in that part of the game.
Yep. But as we said, there's every once in a while... Oh, not quite there yet.
Yeah, life lead for Abel. You know, how does Gief get in at this point? Obviously, he needs to... okay! Okay!
It's like I said, every once in a while, he'll throw out these Hail Marys, and sure enough, it works out for him.
If you go back and look at that, I mean... He noticed that Gustavo had stopped pressing buttons.
Exactly.
He noticed it. And so he said, okay, I'm going to take advantage right now. He's not going to expect it, and Itazan was right about that.
Yeah, and so from a casual standpoint, you're like, oh, look at this crazy guy.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, the level of... He just wasn't doing anything like that. And he was playing very careful, and like you said, he was reading the situation and the pattern. So it wasn't quite as much as a Hail Mary as it looked, but that's just kind of how it's interpreted in a lot of ways. So,
well, it was a good call, and it obviously took the round for him.
And, you know, largely could have even stolen a lot of the momentum here, because we were talking about how it looked like Gustavo was kind of starting to get on this roll after having reset the bracket, winning the first one.
I really like Itazan's movement. We've seen a lot of walking back, then walk all the way up. We saw a forward dash. Like, we've seen a lot of movement from him. With a character that's not great at movement.
All right.
Ooh, boy.
And he gets in.
That right there. If you're Strider there and you lose that round, it's, you know, that's just a read at the end. It was a 50-50, command grab or not.
Right.
You know, what are you going to do?
Just get caught in that situation. But that's one of Zangief's strengths, is that he has the ability. I mean, look, Zangief is not the first character, at least for most of Street Fighter 4's life, that you would associate the word vortex with. But Zangief's vortex is actually really, really strong.
That was such a good mix-up that you almost never see. You almost never see Giefs do crouching short, then jump. But he does that. You know, he has these extra tools.
Oh, there it was again. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because he knows that the opponent's going to be in a state of just not expecting it.
But see, this is what I mean. See, you see how many times he's jumped in this round. Yeah, so... But again, they're really well-picked moves. And then he'll do that every once in a while. Just like while you're comboing him, he'll just be going for SPDs.
After that, he did the forward dash, which is the common setup the Giefs have into fear screen hand for chip. But he didn't do it. I mean, he like showed that card and then didn't play it, which is a great little mix-up.
Right. Now again, I you know, it didn't quite work. I mean, he didn't get the bait out there, but, you know, it just shows that he's very aware. Here we go. Here's the Zangief vortex right here. One of the reasons why Zangief has this crazy vortex is because Zangief has this little short jump technique that he can take advantage of.
Yeah, you saw it there for sure.
Yeah, he probably thought it was going to be in front, and then it came... Because he probably thought he was going to do the short jump, stay in front.
Yeah, it's just hard to tell.
It's hard to tell.
And, you know, sometimes as the opponent, you have to jump out, because sometimes it'll be whiff, splash, or whatever into command grab. There's a whole host of things.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys aren't familiar with Zangief's short jump, it's a little glitch where if you hit neutral jump and then go to forward flip, he jumps a slightly shorter distance. So from the same spot jumping, he can end up in front or in back.
And up toward.
Yeah. So it's really can throw people out. And again, there is that again, low short jump.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, it's a really nice technique. And then here we go. You see the fundamentals footsies.
And again, you see the movement I'm talking about? Walking back, then the forward movement into roundhouse. It's just something that you don't often see. So here's him going for that setup, but, good stuff by Strider. I mean, what are you going to do? It's a wake-up ultra. There's not that much in the way of options left.
What?
Why not?
Oh! Anything you can do, I can do better.
Why not? Indeed.
Let's do our own Wake Up Ultra. Probably really sensed. And again, that's going to be like, Wake Up Ultra, even though Strider just did it beforehand. But he sensed that Strider felt like this is my moment. I need to make the comeback. So he's going to be a little extra aggressive.
Yes.
So he went for that Ultra, and it was the right call. It was the right read.
Match point for him as a result. Mm-hmm. Again, just walking so far back and then so far forward.
Yeah, he definitely has the walk forward down more than a lot of the other Zangiefs. Yeah. And see what I mean by how active he is? It's strong jab, strong jab. I think that's where I get that sense that he's more kinetic than a lot of the other Zangiefs.
Yeah, he does always seem to be doing something.
Yeah. He's very subterfuge style kind of Zangief.
That was pretty sick.
Yeah. Nope. Didn't quite get it. So good stuff to Gustavo for reading that.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, Gustavo won that first set 3-1, right? And here's Itabashi 2 in a row. He's still at match point. So he's still he's still poised to take this.
Exactly.
And that just tells you something. After the first set, it seemed like Gustavo totally had this read or just was all ready to go. And then here comes Itabashi. Oh, that was so sick. Feint the low short and then just go for it.
Again, the follow-up.
Look at him. He's just bouncing around like a little like a jackrabbit.
Regular pile driver. Not invincible.
Oh! He chases down the back dash. Yeah, good stuff.
And now you see, is he going to go into defense mode? Is he going to go into wall mode, Zangief?
Right, but still hitting buttons, and still every once in a while he pushes forward a little bit. You saw just see right there again.
Exactly. Yeah, he has to. It's not just going to be straight up defense. That's just not Itazan style.
And there it is, right there. Just gets right
the whiff through. He had the right option to get through that crouching medium kick and
right, and you see him pump. You just saw him there pumping his fist like that. So good stuff to Itazan Zangief. So
yeah, I think that's a good match to show how he plays. I kind of feel bad for Strider because we didn't show him getting the 3-1, but instead showed the 0-3. But this is obviously Itazan's video, and all the things about his game I think were in there. Mm-hmm. So the great movement with that character, the jumping, the frequency of the buttons, the willingness to take risk, the sort of beating your opponent into letting you do something that
seems crazy, but it's not actually crazy.
But it's sort of been set up by what has been going on before.
Right.
I think that's really Itazan's style, and it's really effective.
Yeah, exactly. So this guy, I mean, he's going to be such a scary opponent to go up against in Capcom Cup because he has this great fundamental. So he can beat you on pure fundamentals. I mean, obviously if you watch this match, the things that are going to stick it on your head are the wake-up ultras, the whiff, jab, green hand into ultras and stuff like that. But, for most of those rounds, like 80% of the rounds, he just won by playing really solid Zangief, right? And so he has this ability to play super solid. So if you go up against him in Capcom Cup, you can play really solid, and then all of a sudden, with green hand into ultra, and he can knock you out of a tournament that way.
It's hard to get reads like that as the opponent. It's hard to expect something like with green hand ultra. It really is. Well, speaking of Capcom Cup, what do you think about his chances there?
Again, so, bringing up this ability to play fundamentals and then kind of get that, he's going to be so scary to fight against.
Yeah.
Like, he's just one of those players that he's going to ruin a lot of people's day. That's just kind of how I feel like
it's
it.
Likely.
He's just you're going to go up against him and just be like, I'm going to play my counter Zangief game, and then your mind has that one blank for a half a second, and then all of a sudden you get ultra.
Yeah.
Like empty jump ultra, and you're like, oh, what was I doing? And I feel like he's going to spoil a lot of people's day. And so I actually feel like he's going to do pretty decently there. Okay. Honestly, the only thing holding him back might just be that he's using Zangief, and Zangief has some bad character matchups.
Yeah, it's not just that he uses Zangief, it's that he only uses Zangief. You know, as opposed to, for example, Snake Eyes, who is picking up a secondary character. Itazan is just a Gief, and that is great in a lot of matchups, but there are some matchups where it is a hindrance.
Right.
And so as with all Zangiefs, and characters that are that type where they have very widely varied matches.
Yeah.
You know, they can be volatile. As always with those characters, you have to hope that player does not run into the wrong player or the wrong matchup character. I mean, there are some players who I think are bad at playing against grapplers, but there are some players who are just really good at it,
right,
regardless of the character almost. And so those players will be tough. And same thing with the characters. There are some characters that Gief just doesn't do well against, and he's gonna have to hope that he doesn't run into them, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be one of the hardest parts, is because we already know there's a bunch of people with a secondary of Elena at Capcom Cup, right? And then a lot of people have learned Sagat. Like, I just feel like there's a bunch of Sagat users out there specifically, using him to beat Zangief.
Yeah.
So that will probably be the biggest obstacle going in his way. But even having said that, he could run into a Bonchan, and Bonchan be like, oh, well, I've got my counter pick. And then all of a sudden, Itazan beats him. It's like I said, he just has the potential to play such a spoiler in this event. I don't know if he necessarily has the best chance of winning Capcom Cup. Like, I don't know if I could see him winning Capcom Cup. But, God, like, I just don't want to go up against him.
I think that's a great way to put it.
I don't want to be anybody who has to fight Itazan,
I think you're right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll be at Capcom Cup, which will be the weekend of December 5th through 6th at the Sony PlayStation Experience in Sacramento, California.
San Francisco.
I'm sorry, San Francisco. Wow.
You're thinking back to B4, B5 days.
Yeah, or it's in San Francisco. If you can make it to San Francisco, then I highly recommend going to San Francisco to watch Capcom Cup. It's going to be great, and there are other things to do in San Francisco as well. But if you can't make it, check out twitch.tv/Capcom Fighters. It will be streamed live from San Francisco, and you'll be able to enjoy it as it goes along.
Yeah, definitely follow them on Twitch so that you will get notification as soon as it starts up. Also, follow them on twitter.com as well, twitter.com/Capcom Fighters. You'll get all of the Capcom Pro Tour, Capcom Cup news instantaneously on their Twitter feed.
Yep. And if you like talking about fighting games in this sort of way, check us out, youtube.com or twitch.tv/UltraChenTV.
That's right. We have lots of videos already on YouTube catered for beginners, a lot of very beginner, like try to help you get into Street Fighter. We also have a lot of deep analytical videos, understanding really high-level techniques. And every Tuesday, we also like to do kind of a weekly fighting game community show where we talk about the previous weekend's events, the upcoming weekend's events, whatever game news is coming around, hot topics that are going on in the FGC, moves and stuff from a lot of the players, and lots of cool things. So.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in San Francisco.